good back here. Mufasa.
I wanted to begin asking about this movie. Just tell me a little bit about how the project originated. How did it all come together?
I believe that a sequel to Coming to America was in the works for a while as a project, as a script, as a concept, for a while now. I just came on shortly after I worked with Eddie on Dolomite Is My Name. I'll never forget, it was after this one screening of Dolomite where he came up to me and he's like, "Hey, you want to work together again?" I was like, "Absolutely." And he goes, "What about Coming to America, doing a sequel to Coming to America?" And like I'm sure everybody who hears that there's a sequel to Coming to America, I was just like, "Oh, I don't know, man. Like that's a tall order. That's a high bar," you know. But what's great about working with Eddie is that to some extent, he's the person to allow you to relax with it a little bit more. And he's like, "Don't you want to see these characters again? You know, let's see what they're up to 30 years later."
I've just discovered that I may have a son here in this land.
How much child support she getting from?
The king pays no child support.
No child support for 30 years and you came back? You was a dummy.
How have you felt the reaction? I mean, obviously the movie hasn't released yet, but people online know about it, and you were also in charge of the remake of Footloose. So I know the reactions for that one were also pretty special. So how have you felt that?
I mean, and it's funny because I still I'm really proud of Footloose, but I know the issue when you're doing something that has such a beloved audience, that people get very protective. And I felt that even with Footloose back in the day, because I was such a fanatic about the movie itself, like Footloose was a very important movie to me. 1984 is a very important year for me. Like, you got Purple Rain, you got Footloose, and so like from, you know, the mid 80s to the early 90s, there was just some really memorable movies that everybody holds very dear to themselves. It does have its its challenges. I have to not only try to stay offline and off Twitter and all those things, but it's also very important. I try to keep my mother off of Twitter and Facebook. It's like, mom, don't respond to any of this. You know, it'll pass. And it's also part of what loving movies are. It's like wrestling, you know. You want to get into it, you know, and sometimes that means like a bunch of people saying like, "This idea sucks," you know, but I think we did right by the movie. I think people will have a good time with it.
Children, this is your brother.
Hey, Quay. I'm sorry I slept with your man.
This happened before we even met.
It's not like you're the first man I've ever been with.
What did you just say about the other man?
What were some of the rules that you put on yourself, that things that you had to hit, like I gotta hit XYZ or stay away from?
Well, I think that the biggest challenge that I think that I faced with the development of the script was that how much of the old movie do you want to put in the new movie? And so I'll give you kind of like two polar opposite extremes, where it's like you want to have as many cameos from people from the first movie in the second movie, but when we started to realize it wouldn't work was when it just didn't make sense for the plot. You know, we had a really great design team that all were fans of the original. I'll give you an example. When Ruth Carter and I, Ruth Carter, the costume design, Academy Award winning Ruth E. Carter of Black Panther, and she did Dolomite Is My Name with me. But we sat down and we were like, you know, Akeem has daughters. And I don't know if the daughters are going to be cool with their dad wearing a lion head across his chest like James Earl Jones did in the first one. And I was like, so how do we nod to the outfit that James Earl Jones had? But I remember telling Ruth, I go, I want this thing to look so amazing that Jay-Z is going to want to call you up and say, like, I want that outfit with the gold lion emblem that had the cape that went on. So we created these things that were new, They were immersed in the imagery and the iconography of the first one, which we found to be very inspiring.
That's right.
There you go.
Let me hear you say, hey, ho.
Hey ho!
No, don't do that. That's his mother.
Oh, don't you say it.
No, not to his mother.
I'm a